In homework assignment 1.05 number 2, we are adding expressions with unlike denominators. So here we have the opportunity to subtract the following rational expressions. In order to do this, we must put them over a common denominator. So we need our 2k over 3k minus 7 minus 3 over 8k. To put them over a common denominator, when the 3k minus 7 and 8k have a greatest common factor of 1, we multiply our first term by 8k, giving us a 16k squared. In our denominator, we have 8k times 3k minus 7. Our second term we must multiply by 3k minus 7. So our numerator works out to 16k squared minus 9k plus 21. Now we can't have any factors of 8k here because not only are two of these coefficients odd and not divisible by 8 or 4 or 2, we have a constant term that doesn't have a k, so there'll be no cancellations there. And if 3k minus 7 was going to cancel, it wouldn't just cancel with this term. It would also have to be a factor of 16k squared, which it's not, because that is a monomial. This is a binomial. So we will get no further cancellations or simplifications here. So just double checking, 16k squared minus 9k plus 21 and 8k over 3k minus 7. That checks out. Here we want to add these rational expressions. Again, we're going to have to start by putting them over a common denominator. In this case, our common denominator will be k minus 6 times k plus 9. So we will have a 2k times k plus 9 and a k cubed times k minus 6 over the common denominator of k minus 6 times k plus 9. So now we completely expand our numerator after just rewriting the denominator exactly as is. The highest degree term we're going to have is k to the 4th. And we're going to have a negative 6k cubed from our second expression, a 2k squared from our first expression, and an 18k. So the question is, can we have any cancellations? Well, if we did, the k plus 9 would have to cancel from our term on the left and our term on the right. The k plus 9 would not cancel from the term on the right. Similarly, k minus 6 would not cancel from the term on the left. We have no cancellations here. If we start adding 3 of these fractions together, then that simple check doesn't suffice. We might have to go through in much more detail because we might have cancellations that don't work that way. Much like if you have 1/3 plus 2/3, neither of these is a factor of 3, but when you add them together, you get 3 over 3. The remainders cancel. That can happen in rational expressions when you're adding 3 of them together. So we do have to watch for that in the long term. Today, this is our answer. So that is a k to the 4th minus 16k cubed plus 2k squared plus 18k over k minus 6, k plus 9. So here we are going to have, so this one I don't think we need to go to the whiteboard, just to speed things up a little bit, because we are just going to be subtracting the second from the first. Our denominator is going to be 7m squared times 8m plus 2, which does have a common factor of 4 we can pull out, but that's not going to help. Our numerator we're going to have an m cubed term we get from 7m squared times 9m. So we have a 63m cubed. We're going to have a minus 7m squared term from doing a -1 times a 7m squared. We're going to have a minus 40m from the 8m times the -5, and minus 10 from our last term. So this, because there were no like terms to collect, each term was going to have a different exponent. We didn't need to go to the whiteboard. Now here, we will do it again. We have that 7m plus 2, but that's in our denominator. 7m plus 2 and m plus 4 would be our common denominator. Now in our numerator, we have an m to the 5th term from the 7m to the 4th times m. We're going to have an m to the 4th term from the 4 times 7m 4, so 28. Have to remember to add them. 28 times m exponent 4. We are going to have an m cubed term from that 3m squared times 7m. So that's 21m cubed. And a 6m squared to wrap it up. So this includes that homework assignment 1.05 number 2 for adding and subtracting rational expressions with unlike denominators.